It was a crisp autumn morning in Seattle. The streets were damp from the previous night's rain, and golden leaves lined the sidewalks. Bill Gates, dressed casually in a navy blue sweater and jeans, had just stepped out of his favorite coffee shop, holding a warm cup in one hand. He enjoyed these quiet moments, away from meetings and business calls, where he could simply take in the world around him. As he strolled down a quieter street, something unusual caught his eye near a public trash bin. A crumpled, yellowed envelope sat precariously on the edge, as if someone had tossed it away at the last moment. There was something oddly deliberate about its placement, as if it were waiting to be found. Curious, Bill reached out, picked it up, and carefully unfolded the fragile paper inside. The handwriting was old-fashioned, neat but slightly shaky, as though written by someone elderly. The letter read, "To whoever finds this letter, if you are reading this, then it means my time has come, and I am no longer part of this world. I write these words with the hope that someone, anyone, will hear my story. My name is Harold Thompson, and I was once an inventor, a dreamer, a believer in the power of ideas. Many years ago, I designed something revolutionary, a piece of technology that could have changed the world. But I was betrayed by those I trusted, and my work was stolen. With nothing left, I spent my final years in poverty, unknown and forgotten. If you are the one to find this letter, I ask only one thing. Let the world know my story. My blueprints, my life's work, are hidden inside an old wooden box under the floorboards of my childhood home, 243 Willow Lane. I hope that in the right hands they can still make a difference. With hope, Harold Thompson." Bill Gates stared at the letter, a strange mixture of sadness and curiosity washing over him. Was this real? Was Harold Thompson a forgotten genius whose work had been lost to time? He felt a deep sense of responsibility. If this letter had found its way to him, perhaps it was for a reason. Later that day, Bill did what he did best: research. A few phone calls and online searches led him to discover that Harold Thompson had indeed been a real person, an engineer in the 1970s who had mysteriously disappeared from the industry. His patents had stopped being filed, and no record of him remained beyond a few scattered mentions in old technology journals. The address in the letter still existed, though it had been abandoned for years. Determined to uncover the truth, Bill drove out to the old house. The place was in ruins, its once charming facade now covered in vines and decay. Inside, dust coated every surface, and the floorboards creaked under his steps. Following the letter's instructions, he found a loose floorboard near the fireplace. With careful hands, he pried it open, and there it was. A weathered wooden box, its lid slightly ajar. Inside the box were stacks of old papers, delicate blueprints, and notebooks filled with complex equations. Bill carefully flipped through them, and his breath caught in his throat. The concepts were ahead of their time, some of them resembling modern renewable energy solutions, others hinting at early ideas for wireless technology. This man, long forgotten by history, had been decades ahead of the world. Bill knew immediately what had to be done. Over the following months, he arranged for Harold Thompson's work to be studied, validated, and shared with the scientific community. News outlets picked up the story of the lost genius whose ideas had been buried for years. His name was finally given the recognition it deserved. A year later, Bill Gates stood at a grand unveiling, a research foundation in Harold Thompson's name, dedicated to supporting independent inventors and ensuring their ideas never face the same fate. As he gave his speech, he held the original letter in his hands, a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries come from the most unexpected places.